Hello, my name is Jared Russo, and I'm a amateur documentary filmmaker. And originally, I was going to make a documentary film about my podcast, and ironically, I found something more significant I kind of wanted to touch on today, at least in my opinion. And it was really about my friends, and the focus of the film is going to change about halfway through to the nature of friendship. But you will see some footage from the original documentary film.
What is your name?
Rob.
How do we put the podcast together? What are the steps involved?
We usually come up with an idea, usually like 5 minutes before we do it. Write down a bunch of ideas, mostly make fun of each other. Then we just sit down. I've got a little audio recorder we put in the middle of a table, and we banter back and forth. We bring in guests, which is fun, and we play games, like the IMDb game.
And what kind of editing is involved?
I like to do as little editing as possible, so it's, more off the cuff. I just edit like volume.
And what program do you use?
GarageBand.
And how do you upload that to the internet?
We have a website called thefilmclubpodcast.com.
Could you repeat that one more time?
Thefilmclubpodcast.com. When did you have the idea for the Film Club podcast?
When I was very little, I always wanted to make a podcast. You could almost say it was a dream of mine to become famous on the internet. And I always wanted to do it through high school, but never had the appropriate tools to make the podcast. And so I figured I would go to college, maybe meet some friends who had some cameras and some audio recording equipment. I want you to tell me whether or not you have ever listened to the Film Club podcast.
I listened to half of the first episode.
And have you ever listened to the Film Club podcast before?
No.
And did you like them?
I did. I found them quite enjoyable.
And what did you think?
It was...
And what did you think?
I turned it off because I was bored.
And what did you like least about it?
Not you.
And was there anyone on there that you liked?
No.
So in the end, I had no idea that some of my closest friends never actually listened to the podcast, which was a revelation to me because they were very encouraging. They really wanted me to do it in the beginning, and I guess they just kind of fell off the wagon. So I entirely changed the focus of my documentary to be about revealing truth about the nature of friendship. So it just goes to show that you don't really know as much as you think until you start asking the right questions.
What kind of guests do you have on the podcast?
Awful ones. I usually pay hobos to come onto the podcast, and sometimes they refuse, and sometimes they like to pretend to be my friends. Asher and Jesus are primarily the ones that come on.